This is Musical Talk.
Musical Talk.
The UK's independent musical theatre podcast.
Musical Talk. The UK independent musical theatre podcast.
Welcome to this week's episode of Musical Talk. My name is Nick Hudson. We have a brilliant episode planned for you today. We're going to start with a discussion I had with Antonia about Crazy Ex-Girlfriend, the musical TV show on Netflix, and then we're going to share our thoughts on Bat Out of Hell, the Meatloaf and Jim Steinman musical that opened this week at the London Coliseum, the home of the English National Opera. And then I'm going to talk to Jonathan Cohen about Brian Cant, the very, very famous and respected children's television entertainer who recently passed away. So let's get the show on the road with the discussion I had with Antonia about Crazy Ex-Girlfriend.
Musical Talk.
So Crazy Ex-Girlfriend is a show that we found on Netflix, didn't we?
Yeah, we found it on Netflix.
And it's running on the CW in the American network?
Well, the series originally premiered in 2015, so it's not a new show, but it will be to many people because I think many people have obviously found the show through Netflix. It runs on the CW, usually from the autumn, but most people, especially in the UK, will have watched it on Netflix. There are two series to enjoy on Netflix. The first series is about 18 episodes long.
As I'm discovering, because I haven't
made
it.
To the end of it
no,
yet.
I'm still halfway through Act 1, as we'll call it.
And the second series is slightly shorter, 13 episodes, which I think it does work slightly better because I do feel like the plot of Series 2 is actually more concise. I do feel like maybe 18 episodes is a bit too much for the first series because there is a sort of arc across the series which just feels a little bit long, and could have probably been condensed down a little bit more. But this second series, as I say, is a bit more concise because there are less episodes. So the show was created by Rachel Bloom, who is a YouTube star and a writer for other sort of American TV shows, one called Robot Chicken. She was spotted by a screenwriter called Aline Brosh McKenna, who wrote The Devil Wears Prada, screenplay for The Devil Wears Prada. And she saw some of Rachel Bloom's videos. The one in particular I think that she saw was the video which is a song about what a Disney song would sound like if this princesses sang about realistic things that probably happened to them. And they kind of got together and talked about ideas they would like to do, and one of the ideas was that Rachel Bloom wanted to do a musical sitcom or a musical TV show. They came up with ideas, and eventually they put together a pilot for Showtime, which didn't get picked up, and they went from network to network with this pilot, and eventually it was picked up by the CW. So that's kind of how the show originated.
In a nutshell.
Yeah.
Or case, in her sense. I discovered it and showed it to you because you, like so many people, had never heard of it, and you absolutely fell in love with it, didn't you?
Yeah, I've watched it 3 times now. Well, I'm sort of on my third go-around, purely down to the fact that there is so much in this TV show that you could watch it more than once, but also the fact that I wanted to watch it again the second time, particularly so I could look at the music a bit more carefully. The
reason, obviously, we're going to talk about it is it is a proper musical in the fact that, unlike so many other Scrubs and Buffy and things, the songs are mostly there for comic situations. These songs are there for actual plot and character development, which is quite rare in the world of TV musicals, isn't it?
Yeah, so it's structured in a way that a proper musical would be structured, because it is a proper musical. But I guess the musical numbers evolve, like you say, out of plot points, just like a musical. So the plot of not to give any spoilers away to the audience, but the idea of the show is that Rebecca Bunch is living in America, in New York City. She's a high-flying lawyer. She has probably everything she could possibly want, except she's miserable. And she is about to get promoted, and one day she bumps into her childhood sweetheart, who she met at camp 10 years previously, and she decides to completely give up her New York life and move to West Covina, where her crush is from, set up a new life there.
Chaos ensues.
Yeah, to set up a new life there and to pursue the man that she's still in love with after 10 years. And that's the first episode. Yeah. So that's just the kind of premise, the plot, the way it all starts off.
And it is able to sustain 28 episodes or whatever it is that
Yeah.
they've made, which is what's really clever about it, because it does blend so many different styles of storytelling.
Yeah, so it's not just a sitcom or romantic comedy. It's satire, it's drama, it's everything mushed together in one sort of show, which is so it enables them to look at like really important things, like the notion of crazy and what crazy actually means, and actually explore it. Like a lot of sitcoms are just, they're only 20 minutes long. You don't have time to, examine things in a lot of detail. They're usually only one style, either comedy or a drama, which is just about drama, whereas this show, the episodes are 45 minutes long. It's lots of different styles.
The idea of moving a protagonist to a new town is a great idea.
Yeah.
You can have as many characters as you want come in and out of her life.
But also at the same time, that she moves to what is considered to be a mundane place. Sorry to the people who live in West Covina, because I know it's a real place. But she moves from somewhere where lots of people would aspire to live to this place which is relatively mundane. But her life there is anything but mundane, and that's the amazing thing.
And what's interesting is also, in a general musical concept, it would be the other way around.
Yeah.
She'd want to go and live the high life in New York.
Yeah, it's the opposite of what she ends up doing. A lot of the time, the show makes a lot about the mundane situations in life. There's that plot line, but throughout, they often examine and take a look at things that happen to people in life. For example, there's a song in the first episode about getting ready and how horrible it is to go out and get ready when you're going on a date, and the torture you have to go through as a woman. They have to shave the legs, they have to put their eyebrows, they have to wax, they have to do all this, and it examines the concept of that. But that's nothing to do with the show. It's just these little things that they examine about life that they manage to throw in there as well. So there's this through plot going on, which is the story of Rebecca and Josh and whether she's going to end up being with a man that she loves. But also there's these little things that happen to you in life, everyday life, and they manage to make comedy out of those situations.
So obviously when we go into a theatre and we see a musical, we suspend our disbelief, but when you're doing a film, it's sort of accepted, but a television show is such a broad audience. How are the songs defended in this piece? Because
they're part of Rebecca's imagination. She's obviously a character who's not particularly stable, but she finds ways to
clues in the title.
She manages to get through life by creating a series of musical numbers in her head. It's what keeps her going. So all the musical numbers that occur in the show happen in her head. They're all part of her imagination. But as she moves to West Covina, other characters start to become part of her musical fantasies, part of her imagination. So she's having a conversation with someone and it happens to be a song, they will become part of her musical fantasy for a moment, and then as she starts to become parts of other people's lives, they start to have their own musical fantasies. Because I think it's the idea of she is presented as this crazy character and she has all these issues, but I think one thing that the show kind of really brings to the forefront is that all the people that she comes across, they all have their own problems in their lives too. So they all start to have their own musical fantasies also.
That's interesting, because that is almost the same but idea as the Scrubs musical, where this patient went into hospital and she literally, everything she heard was a song.
Yeah.
And what's lovely about that is actually a recognised illness.
Oh, I didn't know that.
Which would be lovely to have, wouldn't it? Except when I'd be around and I'd start singing.
Yeah, we don't want that.
Who's in this? Who are these characters?
So we've mentioned Rebecca and Josh. Josh is the guy that she's going to start, the guy in West Covina that she's moved to West Covina for. And in any rom-com, those two would be sort of the leading man and the leading lady.
Or musical comedy.
Or musical comedy, yeah. So the idea of the show is to take these stereotypes, break them down and examine them. You don't just get leading lady, leading man chasing each other or whatever. You see the journey that they go on, and their personality and their character traits are broken down. So instead of just saying that's the way that they are and that's the way that they are, you actually get to examine why are they like that. And they do it with all the characters in the show. Rebecca has so many traits to her which could be seen as villainous. So she sings a song in the first season which is, I'm the villain in my own story, and she actually realises she's supposed to be the ingenue in her own life. She's actually doing so many things that are villainous, and she's like, well, I don't feel like I'm the leading lady. So because everybody is not just one way or another, you're not just the sweet ingenue, you do sometimes do things which you're not proud of. The idea is that she does things sometimes which go against the stereotype which she's often
portrayed as,
or pigeonholed as. The character of Greg, which is the other guy she meets in West Covina, is supposed to be the bartender, the other guy stereotype, and she actually might quite like this guy, and that's quite strange to her because she doesn't think, you
quite like this guy, don't you?
I quite like Greg. He's my favourite character. She's always fighting against that because he's supposed to be the stereotype of the other guy. And there's Paula. She's the character of the best friend, and she's kind of Rebecca's spunky sidekick, and she's only supposed to be that. But she actually has her own storylines and her own wants. She has an "I Want" song in series 2. They examine the fact that she's not just there to make Rebecca achieve her goals. She has her own goals which she wants to achieve. So all the characters are so much more nuanced than in many musical comedies or romantic comedies, mainly because the show is so long and they have time to examine all these characters. But they're taking characters and stereotypes that you see in rom-coms and shaking them up a little bit.
And adding songs.
Shaking them up and adding songs.
But it's such a diverse range of characters and creeds and other such wonderful things, isn't it?
It's probably one of the most diverse shows on TV at the moment, because I think that area of California is quite multicultural and quite diverse. So you have Latino characters, you have Mexican characters, you have Jewish characters, you have Christian characters, you have a Filipino family, you have gay characters, straight characters, bisexual characters. And there's all sorts of people from different walks of life, which is often not portrayed in many sitcoms and romantic comedies. It's normally the straight person romance, but the most stable couple in this whole show is a gay couple, which is quite interesting. So there are lots of different walks of life portrayed in the show, which I think is an incredible thing.
And that works really well when you're talking about what kind of music to do, because you have such a different, varied, melting pot of styles to choose from. So let's talk about that now. My first question for you, though, is would you be as interested in it if it wasn't for the songs?
No, because I'm interested on a plot line. Characters are so interesting. I like the fact that they're examining all the stereotypes of rom-coms and stuff. So all that is really interesting, but the music furthers that, and that's what's incredible about this show. The music takes it all to an extra level. So even without the music, it'd still be an interesting show, but the music is what makes it what it is.
Drives it, doesn't it?
It drives it. I mean, what's amazing is the fact you have such an amazing cast involved. Most of the performers are Broadway performers. You've got Santino Fontana, who was the Prince Charming. It was Prince Charming in Cinderella on Broadway. Prince Hans in the Disney film Frozen. Got
is he the one who was having an affair with his reindeer?
No. He's the evil. It was the prince that ends up being evil.
Oh, Love is an Open Door song.
Yeah, that's right.
Ironically, Rachel Bloom hasn't done any Broadway.
No, she hasn't done any Broadway, but I think she studied drama.
Yeah.
So she has a musical theatre background. She can obviously sing and perform these numbers, and she won a Golden Globe for her performance. So she can do this. You've got Vincent Rodriguez III, who plays Josh, who was a dance captain in tons of Broadway shows. So they often utilise his dance skills because he's an incredible dancer. Donna Lynn Champlin plays Paula, Rebecca's best friend, and she's got an incredible voice, and she's been in Broadway shows. Gabrielle Ruiz was in The Heights, so she's again another Broadway performer. But you've got a couple of actors who obviously auditioned to see whether they could sing or not, and you've got Michael Scott Foster, who comes in the second series, who actually can sing really well. Pete Gardiner, who plays Darryl, Rebecca's boss, can sing really well. He's not particularly known for his musical theatre, so they've got the best cast in order to be able to do these musical numbers in the best possible way. So unlike many Hollywood musical films where they're hiring non-singers, a lot of musical theatre fans are quite upset when they see their favourite musicals brought to life on the screen, because the talent isn't necessarily there to make it the best possible.
I think what you're referring to.
Version. Whereas the cast is incredible, and they could do anything they're given. The music can be written to the strengths of the performers, so the cast is one of the reasons this show is so good, and the reason they'll be able to do the musical numbers in the best possible way.
And there's the odd cameo, isn't there, for
there's
Broadway
the odd
fans?
Cameo, yeah. So in one particular number in the first season, there is Amber Riley, star of Dreamgirls and Glee, and Ricki Lake, and Lisa Longer is in season 1, Patti LuPone in season 2.
Who knows for season 3?
Who knows? Yeah, who knows who they're going to get in for season 3.
I hope they don't overdo it, though. That's my only worry.
Yeah, I mean, they haven't so far, and I don't think the show has become that popular. I know on the CW it doesn't particularly get that much attention, but now it's come to Netflix, and it's coming to the attention of quite a lot more people. They might be able to afford some guest stars, but they care too much about the show
Yes, but the TV industry is a very, very evil thing driven by marketing figures and demands and audience focus groups and things.
I don't think the CW is like that because, like I said, they're not a mainstream channel like Fox, for example, or some of the other big
ABC.
The show obviously has had a bit more attention due to the fact that now it's on Netflix, and obviously Rachel winning her Golden Globe. I think that they would be foolish to interfere with the show because it's so good, and also the team is so massive working on it, and they care about it too much. I don't think they would let that get in the way of it, to be honest.
Say the same about Smash Series 1 versus Series 2.
That's such a different thing, though, isn't it? I think it's a shame what happened to Smash, but I don't think they would let that happen to this show. So the music is a huge part of the show, and there is quite a big team involved, a big writing team involved, which is why they're able to do so many different styles of music on the show. People on the writing team is Alan Schlesinger, who, he's had a huge songwriting career, and he was a bassist in Fountains of Wayne, and has written loads of music for films and some of the numbers for the Tony Awards. He has such an amazing knowledge of music that he's able to do all these different styles. But until he came on board, for example, for the pilot, something that the creators of the show said they struggled with was how were they going to come up with all these different styles, and how were they going to orchestrate things and actually record and actually achieve these things. So actually the team is the reason they're able to do all these different styles, really. Because
Rachel, there is an album on Spotify and Apple Music and Deezer, whatever the kids are using these days.
Yeah, with commentaries.
With commentaries, so you hear a bit about the songs, and Rachel, I guess, would get co-composer credit because she kind of hums these tunes.
Yeah, well, she comes up with the concepts. So, for example, there is a Fred and Ginger number in season 1, and she really wanted to do a Fred and Ginger number, and she came up with a set of lyrics, and she kind of hummed a rough tune, and then Adam took that and made the number what it is. So she comes up with a lot of sort of the concepts and a sort of vague idea of how she wants it to sound. Some of the pop numbers, I think she has a bit more say in how the songs actually go, and she writes a lot of the lyrics herself. But it's very much a collaborative process with everybody. She also has Jack Dolgen, who she created a lot of her music videos are on that she made for YouTube, and they do a lot of the pop parodies together because that's the kind of thing that they're used to doing before. Yeah. So the team are so experienced in their own fields that they're able to kind of delegate the correct styles to the person who's going to be able to achieve that style. And it's not just musical theatre that's parody, pop music, country music, rock music.
And also it means you're not stretching the performers to do things beyond their limits.
No, but again, they're all Broadway performers. So Santina Fontana plays piano, and there's a Billy Joel number called What'll It Be in the first series, and they knew that he would be able to perform that. Whereas Ryan Gosling in La La Land, having to learn how to play the piano for 3 months, and they probably had to engineer the shots to make it look seamless. Pete Gardner, who plays Darryl, he's not necessarily known as being a singer, and they can write the songs perfect for him. So they can write the songs in the key that it needs to be in, to his strengths, so they know he's probably not going to be the most experiencing like Santino is, but he can actually pull off certain styles of music. So they're actually more able to write the style of music to suit the particular performer, which you can't do if you're putting a musical from the stage to the screen. You have to cast the people that can do those parts or can't do those parts. Whereas the team have the luxury of, right, we're going to write this number, we're going to write it for this person, we can write it for them, and we know it's going to work with that person. So they've got the best of all worlds, really, in the show, really.
Well, let's start with the beginning, which the very opening number.
So West Covina is the opening number called West Covina is sort of like an opening number from any big old style Broadway show where a character moves to a new place and here we are in New York City and everything is wonderful, blah 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 blah. Except she's gone to the most mundane place on earth.
Like One Short Day in Wicked or something.
Like One Short Day in Wicked, yeah.
Or Belle in Beauty and the Beast. It kind of introduces the town. Doesn't introduce all the characters like Belle does, so it's not perfectly structured, but it still gives the feeling of, okay, this is very tongue-in-cheek. It hits you over the head with it, doesn't it?
Yeah, it does. And it's orchestrated and composed like a proper opening number. So, you've got that to start with. There's a lot of pop parodies very early on, but a couple of episodes in we get the Fred and Ginger parody, which is the point in the show where I actually thought, I love this.
Mm-hmm. Me too.
In those 4 minutes, that entire song does old retro Hollywood better than the entirety of La La Land, which I have now seen, by the way. There's a Disney villain parody, which is just so Alan Menken. It's just like a complete homage to Alan.
It's a direct reference to, it's almost the same tune of Poor Unfortunate Souls.
Yeah, it's very similar. You know instantly what it's supposed to be when you hear it, and there's a joke in it. Who is this song's composer as well, which makes me laugh because it could be an Alan Menken song. There is a Marilyn parody in series 2 where she's in a situation where she's torn between two lovers, and it could only be a Marilyn Monroe song that they could choose to parody for that. There's a song called Tap That Ass, which is like a tap number, a direct homage to Moses Supposes in the way that it's shot and choreographed.
With a different message.
With a much different message, but it's funny because you know what they're parodying visually, but it doesn't work with what they're actually singing about, so that's quite funny. There's a Les Mis parody, there's a Music Man parody, like a Harold Hill style parody, because Rachel Bloom, her dream role is Harold Hill in The Music Man.
It's a Dreamgirls parody.
There's a Dreamgirls parody, which is, I think, one of the catchiest tunes in the whole thing. I don't want to ruin it for everybody.
It's funny because I could call her Rachel Riley, because Amber Riley is in that song, and she's currently playing in Dreamgirls in the West End. Yeah, so that's quite. You wonder for the third series what else they could parody. They might have overdone it a bit.
Yeah, well, actually, there's still quite
Wicked,
a lot to
I think,
do.
and that's it. Maybe the whole thing will just be Wicked.
I don't know. There's still quite a lot. What's great is the fact that every single time they parody something, the style that they choose further complements the message that they're trying to get across. They never choose a style which you think that doesn't fit with what the message is that they're trying to kind of get across. The pop songs always work, you know, even though I'm not someone who listens to pop music, I already know what they're trying to parody. I always think it fits well with what they're trying to achieve.
They even put bad lyrics in the pop songs, don't they?
Yeah, I think, which I know you're not quite 100% keen on, because you think the lyrics in the show could be better, but personally, I think the lyrics are great in the show because they're very realistic, because often they are things that Rebecca would be thinking. So, for example, there's a song that she sings called You Stupid Bitch, and she's singing it to herself that she's ruined absolutely everything, and everybody in life has that moment where you do something and you just think, you are so stupid, and she sings something to herself, I'm just a poopy little slut, which is not a line you would probably hear in any musical on Broadway.
Talk episode.
But you would say that to yourself, and she would say that to herself, so it seems realistic, even though it's not the best lyric.
It's not the reason for the words, it's the rhyme choices which bothered me sometimes. It's this whole slant rhyme issue.
I didn't spot that many bad rhymes, and mostly they were in the pop songs. There is one where they rhyme shower and hours, which did annoy me slightly, but often they're in the pop songs, and to be honest, the calibre of the pop songs is the same as many pop songs nowadays. So I think often the lyrics are much better in the Broadway parodies, because, you know, they're having to parody a style where the lyrics are often, you know, of much higher quality, especially older musicals. The great thing about the musical numbers is they all come from the emotional plot points of the musical. We know the reason that they're there. They're there because they're part of Rebecca's brain, but they don't just kind of crop up in moments where you think, oh, that doesn't really work there. Why did it just burst into song? You never kind of notice it burst into song. They're just always seamless transitions into songs. They work. This is the problem I had with La La Land, is that none of the songs seem to work emotional plot points. You're kind of like, why are they singing now? Whereas,
there's a bit in La La Land where they're having a massive argument, and you think, why isn't this a song?
Why is that a musical number? Whereas in the show, it would be. Every single time a song occurs. Some episodes only have one song because there isn't a place where they feel a song would fit, so they just don't put one in. We're not going to put one in for the sake of it. They put songs in if they heighten the emotional points of the story and further that character's development, which is so important in a musical.
In a way, it was interesting probably for you to watch, coming from the Hollywood musical research you did, because you were all excited about La La Land, thinking it's going to be this wonderful musical thing, and then suddenly you were less happy about La La Land until I suggested, why don't you try this Crazy Ex-Girlfriend thing, and you were all over it, weren't you?
Yeah, because it's exactly what La La Land should be, even though it's not retro and vintage all the way through.
But it is, because it borrows, it does the best things that old-fashioned musicals do, which is tell a story, and it is a very old-fashioned thing to have an old-fashioned musical on film.
Yeah, but there is so much modern stuff there too, and it's about modern situations in life, Which is what La La Land is supposed to be about, and it's not. So again, the whole TV show does what La La Land wanted to do, and it's so much braver in what it's trying to achieve.
West Covina Land, it should be.
West Covina Land. It knows what it is, and it knows what it wants to achieve. Whereas I thought La La Land, particularly, was really kind of like shy about what it wanted to be. It was like, we're a musical, but we're not a musical. Compared to, it's something that's come out relatively recently, and this is the reason why Crazy Ex-Girlfriend is popular amongst people, in the fact that musicals on the small screen have credibility, because in Hollywood the musical genre is quite well respected again. The fact that La La Land really failed in that aspect, that it's supposed to be a musical and it's not really that good a musical, whereas Crazy Ex-Girlfriend knows what it is, and it knows how to do musical theatre really well.
And it does it.
Yeah, it does it. The songs, even though they heighten the emotional plot points, they also further the comedy aspect. So, for example, you'll have a song which is about something, and you'll have other little jokes in that song which are nothing to do with that particular plot point, but they still work. So, for example, there is a song which is called Group Hang, and Rebecca is trying to spend more time with the guy that she loves, and he doesn't really want to hang out with her because something weird happened between them. So he invites all his friends to their sort of date, and she sings this song which is lamenting the fact that she's in a group hang and she can't actually spend time with this guy. But there's an added extra joke in the song, in that she's joking about the fact that they're in a Mexican restaurant and there are Mexican people working there, yet the menu is like bastardizing Mexican culture. It's like an Italian Mexican mix of food.
And the song's actually Mexican, isn't it?
And the song's actually Mexican. Even though she's lamenting the fact that she can't spend one-on-one time with her guy, she's actually singing also about the fact that she's in this Mexican restaurant and why is there Italian food here. Every single song, even though it heightens the emotional plot point of the piece, there are little comedy
and that's
pieces
interesting
within it.
because as a character it displays her erratic thought process.
Yeah, it does. It adds further.
You can't focus on one topic even within a song.
No. Like any good Broadway show, you could go and listen to the cast recording on Spotify, and you enjoy the songs and you keep listening to them time and time again, even though you don't watch the show every day. I've listened to some of these songs again and again and again because they're really good songs. They're really catchy tunes, albeit sometimes with lyrics that you really shouldn't sing out loud. You can enjoy them out of context as well, because the songs are singable and enjoyable, but there's that added thing on top of it which is like hilarious, because often the lyrics are really questionable. They're really catchy tunes that they've created. They haven't just gone, we're just parodying a pop song and it doesn't matter. It's
nice to see that you were saying that the songs, even though they are funny, they're not put in the story just to be funny.
Yeah, not just to heighten the comedy, it's to heighten the emotional plot points of the show. The creators also really understand how to transition from dialogue to song moment, just like in a musical. And I often find, again, this is a problem with La La Land, it was quite jerky. It was quite a jerky ride, wasn't it? You were like, oh, we're in a song now, and this is a bit weird, and why are we in a song here? The creators really understand how to transition from dialogue to song. So part of it's down to the fact that they work within the emotional plot points, but they just understand how to write dialogue to lead into a song.
Because we're listening to My Fair Lady the other night, and you were saying how good Rex Harrison was at blending from dialogue to song, even though he sort of speaks his songs.
Yeah, speaks it.
But he still does the bridge beautifully.
Yeah.
And this show does it as well. There are moments where I think, oh, here's a song, I didn't see that coming.
They often parody things, but sometimes they don't go for the most obvious choice as well. So, for example, there's a character who, throughout the course of the show, discovers he might be bisexual. They could have given him a really jaunty musical theatre number because...
Well, Spamalot does that, where they give him the typical YMCA disco-style number.
Which they could have done, or they could have done a really kind of upbeat Broadway number there.
No, they go Huey Lewis and the News.
Awesome, but it still worked so well, and the song was so catchy.
But he also looks a lot like
Huey
Lewis,
yeah, he does.
So that could have been the choice for that.
Yeah.
And even his hairstyle is always 80s.
Yeah. The character would have grown up listening to that kind of music, so of course it makes sense to give him that style. Yeah, to give him that kind of style to sing. But there was one or two you think, oh, I kind of saw that coming, or that didn't quite. You're not a big fan of the Les Mis parody, for example.
I enjoyed it. I just don't think it was good enough.
Yeah.
It just wasn't big enough. To have 5 people standing in a line waving a flag doesn't really scream Les Mis. And I'm also tired of Les Mis.
Yeah.
I can't think why.
I think that's probably the only parody they've done which is a bit trite.
I would have rathered a less overused
genre.
But we're fans of musicals, so we would say that. But if we weren't fans of musicals, we'd probably find it quite funny.
This is a musical TV show.
Don't be put off by that.
Yeah, if you're not... Well, I highly doubt if you're not a musical theatre fan, you'd be listening to this podcast, but don't be frightened to recommend this to people who are not musical theatre fans, because there's something in this for everybody. The parodies that they do are so well done that anyone can understand them. I mean, I'm someone who doesn't particularly know a lot about pop music, for example, but I could spot, oh, that's a Shakira parody, that's a Beyonce parody. I know exactly. Yeah, well, Nick couldn't. Until I kind of pointed out to him, and he went, okay, yeah. There's a Spice Girls parody. There's a punk pop kind of number in the second series, which is a bit like Girl All the Bad Guys Want kind of thing, which is like Rebecca's singing about what she imagines Josh will think about when he sees her playing ping pong. Even if you don't get what it's parodying, it works within the context of the episode, so you probably still find it quite funny.
Well, I look forward to watching the rest of it, and I'm sure once I do, we can revisit it, because other members of the Musical Talk team enjoy it.
Well, the only reason that you recommended it to me was because Dom recommended it to you. So Thanks, Dom.
Thanks, Dom.
And Mike, you've got to watch it. I keep saying this to Mike. Like, you need to watch this.
It's a big effort, though. I mean, that's the issue I have with TV shows.
I have too much time to waste.
It's a massive task, isn't it, to sit down and watch 20...
So there's 18 episodes in the first series, 13 in the second.
So that's 31 hours of entertainment.
Yeah. You don't have to sit down and binge watch it like most people do on Netflix. I mean, you
do, because it might disappear next week. That's how Netflix operates.
No, please don't do that. No, I don't think they would do that. But you could watch an episode a day in the evening.
Thank you very much for sharing your thoughts
on
Crazy Ex-Girlfriend. So you can catch Crazy Ex-Girlfriend on Netflix, and I really, really urge you to do that. Now, last night, my friend Amy, and our good friend Andrew Keating had the chance to go and see Bat Out of Hell at the beautiful, beautiful London Coliseum. This is the new musical from Jim Steinman, the songwriter for Meatloaf, for such classic songs as You Took the Words Right Out of My Mouth, Bat Out of Hell, obviously, and I Would Do Anything for Love, and also the beautiful Celine Dion hit, It's All Coming Back to Me Now. What I love about this review is I actually didn't tell my friend Amy what we were going to see until we got to the theatre, and you can hear her reaction, her very excited reaction in this recording. So here are our thoughts, pre-show, mid-show and post-show of Bat Out of Hell. Hello, welcome to beautiful sunny London town. I'm joined here by my lovely friend Amy, who we've never had on the show before. Hello, Amy.
Hello.
You're a musical theatre fan and ex-Mount View student, aren't you, actress?
I am indeed.
Big old nerd and fan of stuff, aren't you?
Big old nerd, that's me.
What do you think we're doing tonight?
I have no idea. I know we're going to see a show.
Yes.
And that's all I've been told.
What shows do you think are playing in London that you haven't seen that you might enjoy?
There's actually most of them that I haven't seen recently, to be fair, other than the classics.
If you walk a bit further, you'll find out.
Which I'm excited.
Yes, this is one of the biggest shows that I am looking forward to seeing.
Are you kidding?
Yes. Amy's very excited. What are we seeing tonight, Amy?
We're seeing Bat Out of Hell.
We are.
Oh, I'm excited.
So this is the Jim Steinman musical.
Oh, I can't wait.
That has taken over the London Coliseum, and it's meant to be one of the most spectacular evenings anyone can have.
I'm very excited.
I call it We'll Rock You 2, because it looks quite similar to We'll Rock You.
Well, We'll Rock You 1 was great. I loved it. It was great fun. So.
Are you a Meatloaf fan?
Yes, of course.
What songs do you like?
All of them.
Okay, all right.
Anything for Love is one of my favourites. It's like a rock opera in itself, isn't it?
Well, the whole album of Bat Out of Hell was written as a rock concept piece based on Peter Pan. So that's what they've done with this show. They've kind of done an apocalyptic Peter Pan weird thing, and it's the biggest theatre in London. Have you ever been to London Coliseum before?
I have. I saw Sunset Boulevard at Glen Close, yeah.
How was that?
Oh, that was unbelievable. That was something special. But before that, I'd never been in, and I didn't realise how huge it was. I was sat in the stalls as well, so we were right near the front, so just looking back and seeing behind you was, special. It's very posh as well.
Yes, well, it's the home of the English National Opera. Not tonight, though. It's the home of aged rockers and dope, I think. So we'll let you know our thoughts in the middle of the show. That was a genuine reaction from Amy. You literally had no idea what you were seeing.
I had no clue, and I'm very, very happy.
Well, we've survived Act 1 with Bat Out of Hell, the Jim got alcohol on the brain, the Jim Steinman musical. We're here in a beautiful Ellis room at the absolutely stunning London Coliseum. I'm really, really enjoying it. It's everything I thought it would be, and it's just ridiculous, isn't it, Amy?
Yeah, I mean, the storyline is crazy, kind of predictable, but, you know, it's quite charming as well, I thought. And I think the cast are fantastic. The ensemble cast are incredible. Every time they come on stage, I get excited.
Some reviews I read said the choreography was really weak, and it's just... one review said the choreography consists of people waving their limbs around.
Yeah, I actually did... I'm not a dancer myself, so I can't really comment on choreography properly, but for me, I don't know, I did feel it was a bit too busy with the arms at certain points. I don't know, I feel like I was maybe expecting a bit more.
Maybe the legs will be Act 2, we don't know.
Yeah, maybe.
But there's a major staging device using this. Most of the show is being filmed and projected onto walls and screens. Do you think that works as a...
I do,
it's so
I think
big, isn't it?
Yeah, and I also... I know because they're doing it... I don't want to give too much away if people haven't seen it, but obviously... they've got the person filming the character as if you're watching the person filming them, almost reality TV nowadays. And she's this young, rich, so it's kind of a little nod to all these reality TV shows like the Kardashians, almost like a little glimpse into their life. And I kind of liked that. I don't know if that's intentional, but that's where I got from it. And
there's some beautiful effects done as well with the filming. It will be reverse images and things.
I think it really works. I like it. I think in one number it did take me away from the choreography. I wasn't watching the ensemble, I was watching what was going on the screen. But then I think that was kind of... It was important for the storyline, so...
So what is the storyline?
Currently...
Peter Pan with leather jackets, isn't
well, yeah, I suppose. A very wealthy family. Their daughter's got to an age where she's wanting to kind of...
Bucker off?
Well, yeah, break free a bit. There's these... You've got this is what I mean about a bit predictable. You've got the rebellious boy that she falls for.
It's very We Will Rock You, isn't it?
Very, very like We Will Rock You. But I don't know if you know it, but I keep thinking of a film, a rock opera called Repo Man, which I love.
The genetic rock opera, isn't it?
Yes, I love it. It's a bit divided, not many people like it, but I'm getting a lot of that from it as well. I don't know. It's very different in... it's a bit more... what's the word I'm looking for? Not gory, but... Well, obviously it is gory in Repo Man, but it's dark.
Act 1 ends predictably on Bat Out of Hell, and it had one of the most beautiful staging effects I've ever seen in my life.
Yeah, no, that was pretty impressive.
As well as an earlier moment in the show when a car was dropped into the orchestra pit.
I think I actually whooped. I don't think I've ever whooped in my life, but I went whoop.
And there is fire and there is strobe lights and it throws everything
visually, I think it's anything you want from a Meatloaf show. Like, it's theatrical. I think the cast are incredible. I think their voices are insane.
And it must be so hot. I mean, it is the hottest day of the year in 41 years.
So God knows what they feel like with the lights on them and everything. I think, for me, the standout performance so far, though, is... I don't know her name, I haven't looked at the programme yet, but the young lady who's playing the mother, I think she's hilarious.
There's a brilliant song where they go back to...
Will You Love Me Forever?
Their youth. And it's beautifully done, very, very, very well directed.
Hilarious.
And it's... I was saying to you before we started recording, you have summer blockbuster films with explosions and thin plots. This is a summer blockbuster musical.
Yeah, I get what you mean.
See on a hot summer night.
Yeah, well, that's what I mean. It's got what you would expect from a show like this and what you want from a show like this. It's not going to be the most epic story ever told that you're going to go there and come away feeling really moved.
It's not going to be Chekhov.
Yeah, exactly. But you're coming away feeling moved in a different way. I think. I just feel really exhilarated. I think the staging's amazing. I love it.
Well, we've been.
I'm having a great time.
Told to go to Act 2, so we'll let you know our thoughts after Act 2. Oh, I need to sit down after that.
Yeah, I agreed.
Bat Out of Hell is over, and a rapturous response, wasn't it?
Yeah, definitely. Everyone was on their feet at the end. Everyone up and dancing, singing along, as you'd expect.
Always the same with these shows.
Yeah, exactly.
Did it? Was it as predictable as you thought it would be, or did it kind of?
Well, yeah, I think when you're saying about the Peter Pan thing, I think that came more into fruition in the second act.
We didn't believe in fairies, though.
No, you didn't get to do that. But I did like it. I think the storyline, obviously, it's not.
Jim Steinman did the book, which is quite.
Yeah.
It's like the whole thing is an extension of I want to write prose between songs now.
But you go for it for the music. That's why people are going to come and see this. And it's great. They're fantastic songs. So
the songs are astonishing.
You won't be disappointed with the arrangements of it either. And the vocals, I think, are
better than Meatloaf.
Ooh, different. Obviously.
More theatrical, aren't they?
Yeah, but still fantastic. I think vocalists are really, really impressive.
I still don't think anything in Act 2 topped the end of Act 1.
No, I'd agree with that. I think the end of Act 1 is quite, with the effects and the staging. I was expecting a little bit more at the end as a proper finale. Yeah, you got bats. But yeah, like a bigger finish, more pyros maybe. But, I think all in all, it's a great fun show. And I think it'll do really well.
The pyros came from the audience response, and we were saying it would be good if this could go into the Dominion, if American in Paris doesn't last 25 years.
But yeah, it's going to take, I don't know, I just can see it taking on the stunt of We Will Rock You, lasting like many years, just because it's got the fan base already. You could see that just from tonight.
Most of us in the row in front of us.
Yeah, exactly. The whole row in front of us were clearly big Meatloaf fans, and you're always going to get that fan base no matter what.
Let's talk about We Will Rock You, because it does mirror We Will Rock You quite a bit, especially in Act 2 when they get arrested.
Yeah, the opening of Act 2, I said to you straight away, I was like...
and then we had the flash moment when they all got kind of electrocuted.
They're in jail, and I was a bit like... And yeah, you got the two couples, the main two, and then the sidekicks, and they're on the bikes, but on the car. Like, it is very much like that, but...
That's what rock and roll's about, isn't it?
It kind of works. Yeah, I mean, you said the Peter Pan thing, it does have that, but I think there's also, big parallels with Real Rocky.
Also Romeo and Juliet thing as well, I thought, going on.
Yeah, with the two main the main love story. I'll be honest, I get a bit bored with those type of things, but
and
they are what they are.
The standout song for me was It's All Coming Back to Me Now, which is, I knew it as a Celine Dion hit.
Well, yeah, same. But I think that the vocals in that I got goosebumps, so it was brilliant. And the arrangement of it is fantastic.
So we're here with Andrew. Andrew, what were your thoughts on the piece?
Twilight?
No, we didn't mention Twilight.
How many things does it have subtle nods to? Rocky Horror?
We Will Rock You.
We Will Rock You. Twilight.
Why
Peter
Twilight?
Pan.
I don't know Twilight at all.
Twilight because
not a 12-year-old girl.
He won't age, and she'll get older. So it's that whole thing. Did you mention the newspapers you get when you come in?
No, we didn't. Tell us about those.
You get this little newspaper as you come in, which is telling you the future, as it's, that you've missed out on, which is also a way that they don't have to explain it in the show as much, because you read the newspaper.
And
they don't. And I like the fact... the reason I compare it to Rocky Horror is it's almost like if you try and follow the plot, there's no point. There's no point trying to follow the plot. You just have to go along with it. Because
do you think that's intentional on Jim Steinman's part, or was he just not a very good writer of plot?
I just thought it was so much fun, and it was so excessive and over the top and just ridiculous. It was...
Do you know what it reminded me?
It was just fun. It was just fun. You're not... Why would you come to it for
the story?
Like a story. Why would you come for the story if you get something?
Do you know what it reminded me of, Amy? What was the last longest thing we sat and watched together? We sat and watched Eurovision.
Don't you go dissing Eurovision?
No, I'm not dissing. I'm saying this is almost comparable to a night at Eurovision, wasn't it?
Yeah, it had a glitter cannon. It had pyros. It had. Well, there are lots of things that we wouldn't want to mention because there are some nice visual jokes and there are some surprise reveals and lots of glittery costume change. I think there's lots of things that happen and you're just like, oh, so is she with that one now? Or what's happening there? Oh, and she doesn't love him, but now she does love him. And it's a bit like, no, well, whatever.
What did you think of the filming aspect?
I like that. So have you talked about that?
Yeah.
Right.
Because Amy said it was a bit like a reality TV show, and almost at one point it was quite voyeuristic, wasn't it?
I think it's also because it's such a huge venue. It's almost like
Rock concert.
Yeah, it's almost like a rock concert. It's like a very small arena. So if you're right at the back, you wouldn't see any. I mean, I was at the back of the stalls, and even then, there are things you can't quite see. And some of the filming is done because you've got 2 bedroom sets. Spoiler alert: 2 bedroom sets. They're the same bedroom in slightly different sizes and perspectives. And when it's the upper bedroom set, it's generally behind a gauze, so you can't see it very well, and you're not meant to see it. You're meant to look at the projection. But also there were bits as well where they were deliberately playing to the camera, so bits where the mother character was kind of giving funny looks and winks and nods.
That's why I got the almost like, because they were obviously a well-to-do family, like running everything a bit more.
It also added to the fact that, like the Peter Pan character, we are looking sort of through the windows at this rich family, and we're not allowed to sort of access them. Maybe I'm reading too much into it, but you recommend it, Andrew?
I would, Nicholas. Yes.
And you got the song you wanted. You got It's All Coming Back to Me Now. I did.
But it was missing one part. Did you know which part? Well, it may be missing more than one part. The echo of Forever. And then the chorus goes forever, which they didn't. Did you do it under your breath when you said? Could you hear it in your head?
I heard it in my head.
Yeah, see.
We provide.
Please, can we add that back in?
Yes, Jim Steinman, get on that. But Andrew, nice to have you back on. Thank you.
Thank you, Nick.
Thank you, Andrew. Thank you, Amy, and thank you everyone at Bat Out of Hell for letting us go and see that really, really bizarre but enjoyable piece of rock opera. People of a certain age may remember Brian Cant from children's television. Brian is a British TV legend for being in such TV shows as Play School and Play Away. Our very own Jonathan Cohen was also in those TV shows on the piano, and we recently lost Brian Cant, so I sat down with Jonathan as he shared his thoughts on Brian and his musical legacy on television. Jonathan, I want to talk to you about Brian Cant, who we lost this week, and you worked with him very, very closely on Play School and Play Away, didn't you?
I certainly did. Brian was one of the first people that I met when I was first doing television, because I joined the BBC to do Play School. I was a freelance pianist, but I did Play School quite a lot as a pianist, and Brian was terribly helpful to me then. I think I was just leaving home and moving somewhere, and he was terribly helpful to me about what I had to do with insurance or all the things that I needed to do to be grown up, and he was absolutely a wonderful help to me.
Ironic for someone who made such a career presenting children's television. He always said it was such a shock that he influenced so many kids' lives, didn't he?
Well, I think you don't really know that because they're children, and you don't realise how famous you are, because children don't come up to and ask for autographs so much, but they do tend to come up to you and say and talk to you. That used to happen to me quite a lot. They'd come up and talk and just walk straight up to you and start talking as if they knew you, because of course they saw you as a friend. Brian was absolutely the most brilliant person at being able to present straight to camera, and he was able to make anybody who was watching, especially the child, feel that they were the only person. And he was never patronising. He was always very warm and incredibly witty. He just had an extraordinary knack. I think he was a genius, really.
I'm not old enough to remember him, but I remember him. I had a video as a child, and he was standing in front of a barn door and talking to a horse. Yeah. What show would that have been?
That probably would have been Dapple Down Farm. I was nothing to do with that. That was a lot later.
Probably why I remember it.
Yeah.
But, I mean, there's a very famous clip that obviously will be... Wake up, Jonathan, your alarm's going off.
Why the alarm's going off?
There's a very famous clip that I presume will be circulated of Tony Robinson, Sir Tony Robinson.
Yeah.
Tony Arthur.
Yeah.
And another lady whose name I can't remember.
Julie Stevens
and Brian Cant doing
Caractacus, the Court of King Caractacus. I think it's me playing the piano on that. I'm pretty certain.
It is, yes.
Is it?
It's
Play Away, isn't it?
You're in shot for a second.
Oh, am I? That must have been very early on. That must have been around about 1973, I would think.
And was Brian influenced by music? Because it's essentially a music hall routine, isn't it? It's kind of very vaudeville. Was he in musicals? And
he just loved... I think he probably grew up listening to people like Max Miller and all those wonderful old comedians. He did a very good impression of... I'm trying to think of his name, not Max Miller. There was another one... Anyway, he
Max Bygraves?
No, it was even earlier than
Max
that.
Volume?
But Brian loved all that, and he actually, when Play Away started, it was originally going to be a Saturday version of Play School, because Play School ran Monday to Friday. The BBC had a lot of money because they'd sold the rights to Play School. They sold Play School to Australasia, which is New Zealand and Australia, and they got some more money, and they were able to then put it into putting in the Saturday version of Play School, which was going to be more emphasis on fun and less on school. And we did the first one, and then Brian added a joke, and then it sort of developed from there, became a sort of light entertainment programme until it became a cult programme. It was extraordinary. We were doing sketches, songs... everything really. I mean, it was extraordinary. Dancing. It was a pretty good show.
And did Brian herald a lot of the ideas? Was he the ideas man, or was he just told what to do?
The script writers would do them. Often the directors who were directing the programme would write the scripts, but Brian would sometimes write some sketches.
The Gerald Wiley, did he?
Sort of. And he and I also wrote songs together quite a lot for the programmes. And then we got people like Johnny Ballin, who wrote some very funny sketches for Play Away. It was... The wonderful thing was, in those days, they encouraged you, the BBC encouraged you to be creative. And a lot of that's gone now because everything's so whiz-bang, whiz-bang, whiz-bang. In those days, we had about a week to do one show. So we'd have proper... It was like doing a theatre show. We'd have proper rehearsals with choreographers and music rehearsals with me and all that sort of thing. So there was a lot of work went into it.
And if you could relate us one memory of Brian that you've been thinking about over the last couple of days, what would it be?
Well, he and I went on the road. We did a two-man show in the 80s, one called Brian Cant's Fun Book, then we did another one on the road, and he had a dog called Colonel, who was a Wyhead Fox Terrier or something that bounced around and ate my makeup sponge once, and we didn't. And they said, "No, I'm sure Colonel hasn't eaten your makeup sponge." 2 days later, they found it, and also he ate the elastic that held my.
It.
No, I certainly didn't. And then another time, Cherry, his wife, who was directing us, was watching us doing a show, said, "Why is Jonathan walking so oddly? I could hardly walk," because the dog had eaten the elastic that held my shoe together.
And knowing Brian, he probably put it into the show, didn't he? Because there's a famous audition story that Brian liked to tell, wasn't there? About he was told to get in a box,
cardboard box, and row out to sea. Yeah. But no, Brian was very witty, such fun to be with. We did tend to, I'm afraid, corpse, that means laugh a bit on stage when we were together, but we tried not to because it wasn't very professional, but he was absolutely hilarious. He'll be hugely missed. I think he influenced a whole raft of presenters over the years, so people have got a lot to thank him for.
Thank you, Jonathan, and thank you, Brian, for providing so many hours of entertainment for so many people in this country. That's it for this week's episode of Musical Talk. Next week we'll be talking to George Stiles and Anthony Drew about their new musical of Wind in the Willows, playing at the London Palladium, so do join us for that. Until then, it's good night from me, and it's goodbye from everyone else who's been on this episode. Please do check out our website at musicaltalk.co.uk and all our social media gubbins going on, Twitter, Instagram and Facebook, all under the word Musical Talk. This episode of Musical Talk is copyright 2017, and we'll see you next time. Bye-bye.
So, the music. Should we talk about the music?
Please, sing about the music.
I wish I could sing all the songs right now. In order,
you could.
From beginning to end.
West Covina.
So the music is...
California.